What is happening, everybody? My name is Beth and welcome back to Every Day is Spooktober. Now in today's video, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, we are talking about the NUN 2 that came out I think about 2 weeks ago now. As I do in all my videos, I'll give you a bit of backstory and then we'll get into the juicy stuff of the review. So just a bit of backstory. Obviously the Conjuring universe is what it is. I definitely think like it's just how things work, but I think the more you make of something, the more it's going to lose its touch, its you know, creativity, its, you know, everything that's good about it. It's going to lose that because you're using the same boring recycled materials and nothing's actually getting better. So yeah, in my opinion, I think that, you know, the Conjuring universe is okay, but like I said, I think it's kind of deteriorated over time. So in general, you know, I think the first Nun, I was very on this, you know, similar side to everyone else. It wasn't great. It was very jump scare heavy, like it was a jump scare every 20 seconds. There wasn't much of a story there, and we don't necessarily learn a ton about the Nun, also known as Valak, obviously, in this franchise. At the end of the day, I think these films are like just easy throw on watches. I don't take this stuff too seriously because it doesn't actually take itself too seriously, in my opinion. I don't hate the Nun, I just think it's probably one of the weakest franchise. That is also including The Devil Made Me Do It, and the Annabelle films aren't great either. But you know, maybe we'll get into a ranking video in another video, but this isn't the time. So the Nun 2, watched it the other day, and I have a lot to say about this, so let's just get straight into it. So obviously the biggest issue people had with the first one is there's no real plot, there's no story, it's just jump scares every 20 seconds, like it's so exhausting and it's boring. I agree. Bearing in mind, I watched this, the first Nun when it came out in cinemas, but like that was it. I didn't actually watch it again until the other day before I watched it before the second one, so I needed a recap. And when I was watching it, I was like, this isn't as bad as I remember, but it's not great. But I just was sat in my bed in my room rewatching the first one before, and every 20 seconds, yes, it was a jump scare. It was exhausting. I was like, come on, like, give us something else. Like, we're done with this. Obviously a good jump scare, if it gets you, it gets you. I have to admit, the first Nun, the jump scares in that movie get you like crazy. Like, I have never jumped so hard and as many times in my room just watching a film, like casually. So for this second one, I was kind of expecting like more of that. However, we were a little bit jump scare toned down, and we were more story in your face. There's no jump scares, it's just story. So I think what's happened here is the creators of the first one took on board what everybody said, and the right was like, right, we need to flip this on its head and do it differently. Which, I mean, yes, great. They did that right, but it got to the point where it felt like we were going down another rabbit hole like we were with Insidious the Red Door. The issue I had with Insidious the Red Door, and I know a lot of people had, is it was very story-based again. There was no scares, there was no jump scares. It wasn't like Insidious, and this isn't like The Nun. This is like a history project about who the Nun is and the backstory and what they've done and how we need to destroy it and who these new characters are. There was so much story that I genuinely was bored. I was bored, and I've heard some other people say like similar things. And I think that's the issue, is like, if you don't have the solid good balance of the story and the jump scares, and you just kind of rely on one or the other, it's not going to work. And with this one, they just went the completely wrong way about it. Don't get me wrong, there was a couple jump scares, but even in the cinema, nothing really got me. Maybe like one, but nothing got me because it was just like so much talking. And I'm like, okay, we get it. Like, we want to see some scary nun shots of like, you know, or just some kind of demon devil thing like happening. There was none of it. And I think for me, it got about halfway through, and I was ready to go. I was like, I don't really care what happens to these characters. They're not making me, you know, want to root for them. Majority of them are new. Obviously, we get our original Irene nun back, and then we also get Maurice back, which I do like both of them. I think that, you know, I think they're good actors, and I think they work well in this franchise. But like it just, with all these new side characters, I was like we need to just get to the nitty-gritty of who the nun is, and we need the nun to kill people. Okay, this is another issue that I have as well, is I know the Conjuring franchise, nobody ever dies, and it really annoys me. People need to die in horror to make the severity and the intensity of the scenes and the situation like up there. But because no one's dying, I don't really care. Like, to be honest with you, like let's do some deaths. Let's crank it up a bit. And adding on to that, like, our cast is a bajillion children, right? First thing is, this was giving me Woman in Black 2 vibes so much, because A Woman in Black 2 is about like an orphanage of kids, or like a group of kids staying in the Woman in Black's old house, and then they get haunted and things happen. This was giving the exact same thing. These kids are in a boarding school, they're a bunch of girls, they're living there, they're getting taught there. It was giving a very similar vibe. So the fact that I was linking that, I was like, Jesus Christ, because I mean, The Woman in Black 2 is not good, and I mean the first one's okay, I guess, but yeah, because there were so many kids, I knew, especially the main new character of this kind of situation is a child. No one's dying because we can't show that on camera. So that was, as soon as I saw the amount of kids that were involved in the main plot line, I was like, well, this is gonna be so bad. The nun is the most demonic, the so powerful, all powerful. Okay, if she is, why is it so easy to get rid of her? Why can there be loads of kids around and not a single one die, or like, you know, get severely injured? Like, nobody did, and that's what annoys me, because it's not realistic, and it's like, what is the actual point of the nun? There's so many issues with it, and maybe that's me like nitpicking, but that's what I was taking from it, because I was like, I want to see some good horror. Like, I want to see some haunting, disturbing, messed up horror. Like, even in The Conjuring, they weren't afraid to like throw them against like glass doors and cut their hair off and give bruises. You know what I mean? Like, they weren't scared to do that. But with this nun, I was like, well, like, there's just no point watching it, because I could guess the outcome. It was predictable. And then I think like the last final point that really bugged me about this film, since we're being so negative, is, you know, the nun isn't scary anymore to me. I don't. Thing is, Conjuring 2. That scene when we're introduced to the nun in that freaking hallway, it was funny how they used it in this one too, but which I thought was totally random, and I don't understand the link there. I'll have to Google it. But I thought when you first see the nun in The Conjuring 2, brilliant shot, beautifully shot, so well, so scary, loved it. And now I'm like, I don't like, even revisiting that shot in The Nun 2, I don't care. Like, she's not scary. There's nothing like, oh, about her, because like I said, I know we don't technically defeat the nun in this movie, because technically it's still in Maurice, and then Ed and Lorraine Warren then have to go and like do an exorcism on him, which obviously we find out from The Conjuring, whatever. It all connects. I'm not getting into it because it's so confusing and I don't actually understand it myself, but like, it just, like, she's not scary anymore. She's not, because like I said, because she's not killing people, because she hasn't got this power that can do horrible things. How is she meant to be scary? Apart from like really CGI jump scares that like no one's interested in that anymore. Like, the horror in these films is just going down and down and down. I was expecting at least there to be loads of jump scares. I would have been down for that, but there wasn't even any like good jump scares. I think it was well acted. I think all the acting was okay. You know, I think the location of this was like a really cool, had a creepy effect. But there was just so much lacking. I mean, I didn't have high expectations going to this, but I'm just shocked that I've gone into this and I actually think it's worse than the first one, which people might be really shocked about, because I know that a lot of people are saying this second one's way better. I completely disagree. Like, the first one is better in my opinion. I think it's more what the Conjuring universe is, and I felt this was like we were getting a history lesson of the person who the nun was and this boarding school and who all these characters are. Like, I don't have time, like, just get to it, and rather than just like whittling on about stuff that no one really cares about. I know they're trying so hard to like fit it into the franchise and fit it into the timeline and then link like Ed and Lorraine and everything into this, which I mean like is fun if you're a follower of the franchise, don't get me wrong. Like, it was fun to wait right until the end of the credits to then hear the phone ring, and then Ed picks up and they're going to obviously do an exorcism for Maurice. But it just, and then also, can I just mention, why do we have Lorraine popping up randomly? I know that the girl that plays Irene and the woman that plays Lorraine, they're actually sisters in real life, but like, are they related? I don't understand. Why did she pop up? I don't know. I'm gonna have to read up about it, but yeah, I am not going into the lore of this universe because I don't really care. I just want a good scare and a good movie, which we didn't get. So definitely won't be watching this again. Definitely won't be getting this on DVD. It was cute while it lasted, but unfortunately, yeah, The Nun 2, not good. I rated this a 4 out of 10, which isn't great. I mean, the first one's not far off it. I gave the first one like a 5 out of 10, so like they're very similar on par. I'm not saying one's amazing and the other one's not. They're both not great movies, and like I said, probably the lowest sort of in this franchise, specifically this second one. So I'm really hoping they don't continue with The Nun. We need some fresh ideas here. Like, let's do different horror spin-off characters instead of continuously using the same characters that we've seen 100 times and nobody cares about anymore. Sorry, this is a very negative video. I'm not trying to be negative. I just didn't enjoy the movie. But, you know, like I said, I think the locations were cool. The acting was decent. I like the girl that plays Irene. I think she you know, plays a very believable nun, a character I think she does well, but and the acting was fine for everybody else. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on The Nun 2. Let me know what you guys thought of it. Do you completely disagree with everything I've said? Do you completely agree? Let me know, comment down below. And yeah, we are soon approaching Saw X. I'm so excited to actually see that one. I'm really hoping I'm not disappointed though, again, with another horror film that's coming out, but we will see. We will, all in good time, we will see. We've got some time to prep for that anyway. So yeah, thank you guys again for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you on my next review.